Good morning, student. Today again we will discuss about the exhaust gas recirculation method, which is quietly we are using to reduce the exhaust gas pollutant. So in exhaust gases, there are different pollutants are there, and many of the pollutants they are the byproducts of the fuel. But if you are considering about the oxides of nitrogen, so if you are concentrating on this pollutant, so you can think that the nitrogen and oxygen, these are not the part of the fuel constituents, because most of the time hydrocarbon fuel we are using, and nitrogen and oxygen are not the part of the hydrocarbon. So these oxides of nitrogen, these are forming due to the air, because in combustion there are different temperature levels are there. At different temperature levels, this nitrogen and oxygen will form the oxides of nitrogen. So these are very harmful to the environment as well as for the human beings. So we have to reduce that one. We have to reduce the proportions of nitrogen oxides. So for that only we are using the exhaust gas recirculation methods. So you can see that the exhaust gas recirculation method is an effective method to reduce the NOx emission from the engine. So what we are doing, we are recirculating the exhaust gases. We are recirculating the exhaust gases to the inlet manifold, and we are mixing with the inlet mixtures. So already you know that in exhaust gases, already burned gases are there. They are normally in inert form. They are normally in inert form. So in exhaust gas recirculations, what we are doing, we are recirculating the exhaust gases, and we are mixing these exhaust gases with the incoming air. We are incoming air. So what will happen if you are mixing the exhaust gases with the incoming air? So what it is doing, it is diluting the air. It is diluting the air. So obviously there will be the reduction in oxygen will occur. Reduction in oxygen will occur. So what will happen if the oxygen available for combustion is reduced? So what will happen? So we can control the formation of NOx. What we can control? So here what is the concept? We are reducing the oxygen level that is in the excess form if for the combustions. So we are reducing this oxygen level of incoming air by mixing the exhaust gases. So as the oxygen level is available for the combustion is reduced, so particularly it will control the NOx formation. So for that what we are doing, we are using the control valve to regulate the quantity of exhaust gas to be recirculated. So we can see in the next so here you can easily find out that we are recirculating the exhaust gases. We are recirculating the exhaust gases. So uh, this exhaust gases recirculating we are recirculating over here. There is a filter. Through the filter we can say the cooler or filter, we are recirculating it, and these are mixing with the incoming air. These are mixing with the incoming air, and here we are diluting the incoming air. We are diluting the incoming air, thereby we are reducing the oxygen, and as the oxygen level is reducing, we can reduce the formation of the oxides of nitrogen. Apart from this, we can see that the gases in the exhaust gases are in the inert form. So obviously that inert gas will absorb the heat of combustion, so excess heat. So that is rejected to the engine component. So obviously with the help of EGR, we are reducing again we are reducing the peak temperature. We are reducing the peak temperature of the engine. We are peak combustion temperature we can reduce. Apart from that, these exhaust gases are containing carbon dioxide and water vapor. This exhaust gas will contain the carbon dioxide and water vapor, and this carbon dioxide and water vapor will have the higher specific heat as compared to air. So as it is having the higher specific heat, so what will happen, it will again, as the higher specific heat is there, it is absorbing the heat of combustion, and thereby reducing the peak combustion temperature. As the peak combustion temperature is reducing, the withstanding property of means that whatever the component we are using for the design of engine, that will be uh, operate efficiently, and engine performance will be increased. So we can say that with the help of this EGR, if you are recirculating 10% of exhaust gas to the inlet manifold with the incoming air, it will reduce nearly 50% of NOx emission. So, and because of this EGR become the one of the main part in BS6 vehicle. In BS6 vehicle, EGR is the one of the important component of BS6 vehicle. So EGR is nothing but, we are with the help of EGR, what we are doing, we are reducing the peak combustion temperature, as well as we are reducing the NOx. So this is the exhaust gas recirculation method. So next we are going to discuss about the these are the basic parts, then working principle. So next we are going to discuss about the viscous fan coupling. The viscous fan coupling is required for the cooling of the engine. In case of radiator having the higher loads. So now in viscous fan coupling, you can see that and this is the sensor. These are the sensors. So this is the bimetallic sensor. So this is the bimetallic sensor. This is the cover. Then these are the inlet parts, slide, rotors, O-rings, back covers, and bearings and planes. So we can say so these are the parts of the viscous fan coupling. In viscous fan coupling, normally we are using the shear force. We are using the shear force for engaging and disengaging the viscous fan. So we can explain this again. We'll say the diagram is there. So here you can easily see that this is the sensor. What is this? Is the sensor. So this sensor is exactly after the radiator. This sensor will be exactly after the radiator. If the radiator load is higher, so what will happen, the air coming from the radiator will be hotter, it will become the hotter. When it is hot, the air is coming is hotter, so what will happen, the radiator temperature will rise due to the load on the radiator, and due to that, whatever the air passing through the radiator will get heated, and that air will come in contact with the bimetallic strip. This is the bimetallic strip. In this bimetallic strip will consist of the two dissimilar metal, and due to that, whenever it will get heated, so dissimilar expansion of that metal parts will be happen, and it will actuate the wall. So just behind of this bimetallic strip there is a wall, and that wall is controlling the silicon reservoir. So this is the silicon reservoir. And this silicon reservoir will be controlled by the wall, and that wall is in contact with the bimetallic strip. If the expansion of bimetallic strip is happening, any dimensional changes in bimetallic strip happening, that will create the force on the wall, and that will actuate the wall mechanism. And if it is actuating the wall mechanism, so this reservoir will release the silicon fluid from the reservoir at the center, which is at the center. Now this is the outer housing. So what is this is the outer housing, and in that there is a shear plate. So here there will be the shear plates will be there. So this shear plate is connected with the engine shaft. So this is connected with the engine shaft, and this is always rotating. This is always rotating. As this is always rotating, so due to the centrifugal force of shear plate, so the silicon fluid released from the reservoir will get accumulated near the outer housing. So whatever the space in between the outer housing and the shear plate, so we can say that, so this is the shear plate. So in between there is a void is there, and this silicon fluid, due to the centrifugal force, will accumulated in the void between the shear plate and the outer housing. So what will happen, so this shear plate and housing, there is a void is there, but as the silicon fluid is coming in between that, so they will create the shear force in between outer housing and the shear plate. As the shear force is actuating in between the outer housing and the shear plate, so this outer housing and shear plate will get engaged, it will get engaged, and due to that, so this outer housing will start moving, it will start revolving with respect to crankshaft. So whatever the shaft is attached to the this shear plate, and along with the shear plate, this outer housing will be get revolve, it will get revolved, and it will act as a fan, it will act as a fan, and it will the rate of flow of air will be higher, as it is a force convection. So it will create the force convection over the heat in engine surface, and as the force convection is there, due to that there will be the heat cooling will be cooling of engine will be get higher. uh, then this shear, the void between the shear plate, it is connected with the reservoir by the some piping, and whenever the cooling effect is over and radiator load will be reduced, so radiator what will do, the radiator, the air coming from the radiator will be get cooler, as the load on the radiator will reduce, and cooling of engine will be happen. So after that, the air coming from the radiator will be cooler, and due to that, the cooler air will be coming with the bimetallic strip, and due to that, the this bimetallic strip will come in its original position, and it will release the force over the actuating wall, and this wall will get released, and due to that, whatever the silicon fluid that is in the void between the outer casing and shear plate will come back to the reservoir, and due to then it will get disengaged, shear force will be reduced between the outer casing and the shear plate will be get reduced, and that will get disengaged, and it will come back to the viscous coupling, it will come back to the silicon reservoir, it will come back to the silicon reservoir, and then again viscous fan coupling will be disengaged, and it will come in the its original form. And whenever there is a load will on the radiator will increase, and cooling of cooling of engine is required, at that time again it will activate the bimetallic strip, and due to that it will again force apply force over the actuating wall, and due to that it will actuate the silicon reservoir, and silicon fuel will release, and again it will come in due to centrifugal force, it will come in the void between the outer casing and the shear plate, and again the fan will get engaged, and it will start cooling the engine. So this is the exhaust fan coupling, so we can say this is the viscous fan coupling, and you can see that. So this we have discussed. So this silicon get released, and it is coming at the in the void. These are the void in between the shear plate and the outer housing. So our last topic of this unit number 1 is the common rail direct injection. So that we'll discuss now. discuss that one. So we have already discussed EGR. So this is the common rail direct injection system. So till now we have already discussed about the different types of fuel injectors, and we have from that it is revealed that we need a pressurized fuel, and due to that higher pressurization we can atomize the fuel so that we can inject that fuel to the different cylinder, and in cylinder it can easily uh, form the mixture of air and fuel as it is in atomized form. So again here there is a tank, and we are so you can see that this is the tank, fuel tank, and again fuel tank is connected with feed pump, and from feed pump to the filter it is supplying to the high pressure. So here we are using the main header. So this is the high parameter piston pump, means high pressure pump, and this high pressure pump is connected with this header. So this is the main header, this is the main header, and this main header we are giving the sub injector to this header. So here you can easily find out that means we are using the simply one high pressure pump, and this high pressure pump is supplying this fuel to the main header, big header, and from that so that header is calling with as a rail, common rail. So this is the common rail, means that is the header, and from that header we are giving the sub branches, and that sub branches are connected to the injectors, and these injectors are connected with individual cylinder, engine cylinder, if it is a multi cylinders are there. So CRDI technology works in accordance to the engine electronic control unit, and which gets input from the various sensor that we have discussed in previous lectures, and then it calculate the whatever the quantity of fuel is required for the cylinders, and then again at what time you have to inject, it will be get information from the ECU. Then what the fuel system comprises the different component. We have seen tank, feed pump, then the different sensors, then high pressure pump, and this high pressure pump which compresses the fuel, means it is compressing fuel to very high pressure, because as the high pressure is there, atomization will be simple and we can easily mix up with the air. So here in CRDI we are compressing the fuel as high as nearly 1600 bar, and this pump supply this high pressure fuel to the common header. This is the common header, and this is called as a rail, and this common this high pressure fuel in the header forces the fuel to each nozzles located in the cylinder. So these different nozzles you can see over here, these are the nozzle. So these are connected with a different cylinder, and there they are injecting the high pressure fuel. So this is nothing but the CRDI, common rail direct injection system, and this is the last topic of our unit 1, and here we are completing our unit number 1. So in next lecture we will start the unit number 2. Thank you.